What will be the value of these three? The first one is 1 divided by 2, that is half of 10. 1 divided by 2 of 10. We know that when we are dealing with fraction and if we see off, right, that means multiplication. Right? We have discussed the theoretical portion of this, that is fraction as an operator of, in our previous video. So this is half times 10, that is multiplication, and this will be equal to what? We know that whenever we have a whole number and it is being multiplied by a fraction is being multiplied by a whole number, then we multiply this whole number with the numerator, that is 1 times 10, and then divided by this 2, and this will give you 10 divided by 2, that is 5. Similarly here, it's 2 over 5 of 20, so it means that 2 divided by 5 times 20, and this will be 2 times 20, that is, you'll multiply the whole number with the numerator, divide by 5, and this will be 40 divided by 5, and this will give you 8. In this case, you have 2 over 3, 2 divided by 3 of 60, it means 2 over 3 times 60, this will be 2 times 60, that is, we'll multiply numerator with the whole number, and that is 3, this will be 120 divided by 3, and this will give you 40. This is another problem on the same topic, and it is in a class of 40 students, 1 divided by 5, that is 1/5 of the total number of students like to study English, 2/5 of the total number like to study mathematics, and the remaining students like to study science. How many students like to study English? So if we are solving for this first one, it's asking how many students like to study English. Now total number of students, we know that is 40. That's given here. 1/5 of the total number, 1/5 of this, 1/5, let me put it here, 1/5 of the total number of students, that is 40, like to study English. It means that 1/5 of 40, right? This will be equal to 1 times 40 divided by 5, and this will give you 8. So total 8 students like to study English. The second portion, how many students like to study mathematics? Now 2/5 of the total number like to study mathematics. 2/5 of the total, that is 40, like to study maths. It means what? 2/5 of 40. This is equal to 2 times 40 divided by 5. This is 80 divided by 5, and this will give you 16 students. So it's 16 students like to study mathematics. Now the third portion. What fraction of the total number of students like to study science? We have found for English, we have found for mathematics the number of students. In this third part, it's not asking about science, not asking the number, but the fraction. Okay. In these two cases, we had to find the numbers. So if there are total 40 students, and if we subtract from these 40 students that like English, okay, that like English, plus students that like mathematics. students that like English plus students that like maths. If we subtract this value from 40, that is total number of students, we'll get the number of students that like science. So this will be 40 minus students that like English are 8 plus students that like maths are 16, and this will be 40 minus 24, and this will give you what? It will give you 16. So 16 students like science. Now if we have to find a fraction, then what fraction of the students, what fraction of the total students like science? That will be 16 students like science, so 16 divided by 40, because 40 is a total number of students. 16 is the number of students that like science. Therefore, fraction will be students that like science divided by the total number of students. And if you want to simplify it, you can simplify. You can simplify it in its lowest term. So what will be the lowest form of this 16 divided by 40? First, you will find highest common factor. The highest common factor will be 8. And if you divide this numerator by 8, you will get 2. And if you divide this denominator by 8, you will get 5. So even this is correct, and this is also correct. This is not in the simplest form or the lowest form. This fraction is actually in the simplest or the lowest form. Both these two answers are correct. Whichever you want to go for, you can go for. But there is another way to find this third part of this problem. And what will be that? If you look closely, if you look properly and focus on this portion, it says that in a class of 40 students, 1/5 of the total number of students like to study English, 2/5 of the total number like to study mathematics. Okay, so what it's saying is 1/5 like English, 2/5 like mathematics. So if we go by the basic definition of the fraction or the theoretical portion that we had learned, so if we assume that the total class at 40 students, if you divide them into 5 equal portions, like this is 1 divided by 5, this is 2 divided by 5, that is 1/5 likes English, 2/5 like mathematics. So this 1/5 tells English, and then we have 2/5. So this one is 2/5. Why? Because we have divided total number of students in 5 equal parts, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Basic definition of fraction. You can see that here the denominator is 5, here is the denominator 5. That is, it tells you that the total number of students you have divided into 5 equal portions. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So if 1/5 shows for English, 2/5 shows for represents for mathematics, then what's the remaining portion? The remaining portion is very simple. It's again 2 divided by 5. So if I have to cover this portion, this is again 2 divided by 5. How? 1 plus 2 is 3. So subtract 3 from 5, you'll get this portion, that is 2 divided by 5. Basics fraction. So this one is telling you English. This one is telling you mathematics. And this one is telling you science. So you can see that this answer is actually same as this one. So there are 2 ways, right? This is the first one, this is the second one. In fact, you will see closely, then this one is much more easier. The only condition is that it should strike in your mind very quickly. Okay, so see you in the next video. We'll cover some more problems on fraction.